And so as we gather this evening, we hear this lovely gospel and this commissioning of St. Peter, this charge to put out into the deep. We hear this call of the apostles, and because they are obedient, because they do not listen to their own particular voices, especially their own voices of experience as fishermen, and they rather submit to the Lord, great things happen. And we are told that as a result of the great catch of fish, their nets begin to tear. Their nets begin to have holes. In one of the other Gospels of the call of the disciples, we hear something similar about these tears in the nets. This is from St. Matthew's Gospel. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in the boat with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets, and he called them. When we give ourselves to the Lord and keep on giving of ourselves, tears will begin to show in our lives and in our relationships, both with the Lord and with one another. When we put ourselves at the disposal of the Lord, and as we hear in the Gospel, great things can be accomplished and the nets begin to tear. In this opening Mass of our few days together here at this lovely shrine at Łagiewnicki, Kraków, Poland, here at this Divine Mercy Sanctuary, we have come to repair our nets. Maybe this time of the present coronavirus pandemic has been a time of great testing of both human resources, but also of our spiritual reserves. And maybe we have given so much in acts of mercy to others that it is now time for us to stop and to repair the nets, to sew up those holes in our relationships with the Lord and with one another. Because if we do not stop to look, to check, to examine the nets, the tears will become bigger until all that is left is just one long piece of string. Everything unravels. And so we take a time for retreat like these days to stop, to repair, to mend, to examine ourselves. Our Lord has so many graces to give to us. He wants us to catch each and every grace available over these next few days. But if our nets are gaping with large holes, they will simply slip through. Lost opportunities, lost chances, lost graces. And therefore we pause, just like the fishermen. If they are going to be good at their work and to catch fish, to make a livelihood, to feed family and friends, then they have to stop. They have to repair and mend the nets. It is the same for us. If we wish to catch men and women for the Lord, if we wish to be instruments and living images of divine mercy to our world today, then we also have to stop, to pause, and to reflect. Many of you will be able to have time to reflect, maybe in a private chapel or an adoration chapel, or in your own local church, or maybe just in your room wherever you are joining us for these talks. And sometimes we can feel, I wish I could go somewhere holy, like this shrine, to mend and to repair. But it's important for us to remember that as we have these days of prayer here at Łagiewnicki, it wasn't just in this chapel that St. Faustina discovered and encountered the Lord. She met him in many, many places outside of this chapel. In the kitchen, in the garden, at the door. So many different places of encounter. Our Lord is already there at each of these places, awaiting us to arrive. And so maybe we may not have the luxury to close the door and to be at peace in the church or adoration chapel in a shrine. But as St. Faustina reminds us, she met the Lord in so many different places in these grounds here at Łagiewnicki. We know for about 13 years, Sister Faustina was a sister of the congregation of the Sisters of Our Lady of Mercy and spent about 5 of those years here at Łagiewnicki, where eventually, of course, she died. But she discovered the Lord, yes, here in the tabernacle, in the celebration of Holy Mass, in adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, in the monstrance. But as I said, she also met him in the garden. Perhaps that will be your place of encounter, sitting there, looking back on one's life, examining one's conscience, or maybe standing at the sink in the kitchen, just as St. Faustina had to work in the kitchen, providing food, or maybe at the door, greeting when she acted as a porter for the convent. All of these particular occasions can be turned into a wonderful way of encountering the Lord, so that in all places we will discover him. In all places over these next few days, we shall be living out that great commission of the Second Vatican Council of the universal call to holiness. Not just that all people are called to sanctity, but indeed in all places, universally, we can meet and encounter the Lord. And so we have these days, this time ahead of us, to stop, to reflect. Maybe we have to watch these masses later in the day when time permits us to stop and to reflect. Or maybe we will save them all up for a special occasion when we have that moment of time to reflect more deeply. However we are going, whichever way we are going to keep these days of prayer, let's try to make an appointment with the Lord each day, even if it means a sacrifice of getting up half an hour earlier to replay these masses and these talks and these conferences, so that we can mend the nets, that we can repair the nets, to sit down at the feet of the Master, to be aware of his presence, so that all of those graces, all of those rays of mercy emanating from his heart will not be lost, and that by slowly and surely examining ourselves, putting new resolutions in place to come closer to the Lord, then he will call us at these places. Our Lord called his disciples on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, and he will call us just as loudly and as clearly at the kitchen sink, at the door, in the garden, in our chapel, in our adoration place, wherever we may be, as long as we are ready and waiting, open and disposed to all the graces that he will give unto us. Let's ask the Lord then that as we continue these days of prayer, that we may rest in him, that we may hear his gentle voice calling us, come follow me. He invites us in the gospel to go deeper, launch out into the deep. Let us, like our Blessed Lady, say yes and allow him to do great things for each one of us and for the whole world.